welcome back. I'm here talking with Albert Garcia, and we just touched before the break on the holistic approach to, rather than say medicine, the holistic approach to health, I guess is the word that we want to say, you know.
Well, that's right, Larry. We were talking about weight reduction and how people end up changing their lifestyle if once they set out to, say, lose weight. And entering a program is fine, and obviously it assists in providing you with the support groups, for example. But more importantly, one will notice that the person that is undertaking such a weight reduction program will unconsciously changes their whole lifestyle as well, right? They tend to become more conscious on the way they look, the way they present themselves. They take more care of their personal hygiene, if you call it. And also they start choosing the type of food that they eat.
Right.
Perhaps shifting to healthier type food, maybe lesser portions, maybe not just waiting for the day that they're supposed to go to the gym, but they will even, undertake more sessions even at home, right? And mix with people of the same type of thing. So
that's the big thing, isn't it? Is having it all goes together in one package. We don't do it all just by taking fiber, or we don't do it all just by reducing how much we eat. It has to all go together, doesn't it?
It always is.
And that was the reason I wanted to ask you. What sort of things would people realize? Because people like to see results, and somehow we're not very patient. A lot of times we want the results right away, and they're not always right away. But if you do all of those things, you're gonna feel a lot better. Well, pretty quick. I mean,
the biggest challenge is, of course, expectation.
Right. Okay.
If one were to go about, and let's go back to a favorite topic of a lot of people, is weight reduction.
Right.
You're not going to lose weight immediately.
No.
Right. It will happen, and depends on how drastic your approach is. But I've always told people that care to listen that there's only one simple way of losing weight. You eat less and you exercise more. That's all there is.
That's all there is.
That's all there is.
There's no other. There's no magical
solution.
And a lot of these weight reduction programs, hey, you can lose a pound a day, or you can use a pound a week, or you can do all of those. And you can, but you can't sustain it. You have to change your whole lifestyle to sustain it.
And perhaps the first thing that one has to keep in mind is the fact that you have to get your body to adjust to the new regime. Right. Your metabolism is used to a certain program, used to a certain calorific intake a day relative to the amount of exercise that you do, and you have to break that cycle, right? When you break that cycle, sometimes you also have the reverse effect of withdrawal, if you want to call it withdrawal, not so much in a drug sort of sense, but withdrawal from a set routine that your personality, your metabolism is used to. Once you remove that, you get out of that comfort zone, then that's the time you will start losing weight.
Right. But another thing too, a lot of times, we are kind of obsessed with weight in the West, because in the United States, 60% of the people are
deemed obese.
I mean, that's really frightening, and that's very different from 50 years ago when I left. And I look at it as fast food must have an awful lot to do with that, and the fact that people don't eat at home very much anymore. Which is
and we go back to what I said earlier on. I mean, if one does not eat at home, and you go back to the premise of the nice home cooked meals, which are actually properly prepared, you end up with food items that are high on trans fats, high on sodium, and all the things that taste good but not necessarily, healthy for you.
And that's the saddest thing, is that fast food tastes pretty good, doesn't it?
Oh, it does, yeah.
Boy, trying to get my daughter, she loves KFC, and I said, okay, once a week we can have it, but that's it.
Larry, I don't know whether you have come across a study on a fellow that subjected himself to nothing else but McDonald's.
The guy in England, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure what country
I think it was
on,
in London, I think,
he set baselines on
Right.
his health just before he started taking it on, and then 30 days after, nothing
Right.
else but.
Right.
And and it showed. The study clearly
He was
showed.
a physical wreck.
Yeah,
At the
he
end
was.
of it.
Yeah,
He was a physical wreck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think he took any supplements in
No,
doing
no,
that,
nothing.
did he?
No, well, he was supplementing with Big Macs and all that. No, obviously the stuff is not good for you. But it is nice, and this goes back to the thing. We don't have to really deprive ourselves of all of the joys of eating the wrong things now and then.
Well,
it's just a
yeah.
matter, we can't do it every day.
I was impressed over lunch when I saw you eating nothing else but what everybody calls vegetarian food.
Yeah,
right?
veg.
Obviously, this is a lifestyle change for you as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, yeah.
Big.
And you would obviously feel the better for it when you have changed, and your metabolism by now would have adjusted to that, right?
Yeah, one of the things that's interesting about that, I joked before about advertising campaigns. I'll bet you can't eat just one,
Yes.
One of the advertising campaigns or advertising statements that I read when I started being cognizant of trying to eat fruits, I'll bet you can't eat more than one. When you eat one apple, you don't feel like eating 2 apples, do you?
Yeah, but you can drink a juice.
Yeah, you can
right?
drink a juice,
you can juice, and you can have an
overdo-
apple pie.
Yeah,
and
you don't.
can-
Well, apple pie is different, but you don't overdo it. If you eat a banana, you don't feel like eating 10 bananas. Or if you eat a Big Mac, you might feel like eating another one, even though you really don't have the space for it. So you do have that. It's kind of a self-limiting sort of thing if you're eating fruits and vegetables. Without a lot of spices.
Well,
I suppose,
you go back to the basic premise. How much can you really take to be able to come up with what they call the RDAs, right?
Right.
But RDAs being the recommended daily allowance for whatever it is, for all types of minerals, vitamins, and supplements. So if one does not have a complete proper diet, and nobody really, it's rare for anybody to claim that they do have a balanced diet.
In fact, that was one of the things that you mentioned at lunch was the fact that certain enzymes, if you're eating a vegetarian diet, some enzymes you don't get, so you have to get them from other things, right?
If one is a vegetarian, there's certain enzymes in meat that is not found in vegetables except for mushrooms.
Mushrooms,
right.
okay.
Yeah, you have to have I guess a supply or an intake of mushrooms in your diet to be able to ingest the enzymes from meat. Don't ask me which one it is, but I just read somewhere that yes, and since then...
Well, I've always eaten lots of mushrooms anyway. I like mushrooms, and
we go back, Larry, to an earlier observation that nature provides for just about every situation, every circumstance. Nature supplements, right? Whatever it is that you're not doing. I mean, we were talking about alfalfa, barley, and wheatgrass, for example.
Exactly.
Right? Alfalfa, barley, and wheatgrass are what we call the leaves of life, right? And these are nature's own way of trying to stem, for example, like alfalfa and wheatgrass contain an enzyme called superoxide dismutase, right? Superoxide dismutase, or SOD for short, what it does is the enzyme stops the spread of cancer, right? Cancer cells.
Right, okay.
Right. And as you know, all of us have cancer cells in different stages
our whole lives,
of alive, or they're just dormant, but all of us have cancer cells. Now, if we were to equate a cancer cell as an egg, for example, the cancer cell, the yolk is the cancer cell, and the albumin around it is what keeps the cancer cells from breaching, right? So the challenge is to strengthen the albumin so that the cancer cell remains in place. What this enzyme does, this SOD, is it strengthens, right, the albumin part of the cancer cell, right, and it stops the spread. Now, together with barley, the alfalfa, barley, and wheatgrass provides you with just about every amino acid, every enzyme, every mineral, including chlorophyll, right, that the body needs, right? Because these are just they're
green, yeah.
shoots, right?
Right,
and it's harvested while they're still in shoots and powdered. And what it does is that they effectively balance your pH acid equation in your body, as you very well know.
Right.
Once your body chemistry is balanced, then the body is now able to convert all the nutrients that you take from food, from the vitamins that you take as supplements, and converts them into regenerating your body cells, right? If your body chemistry is not balanced, all the body does is trying to regain,
trying to find out
to get that balance, and a lot of it largely goes wasted, right? You're not getting the full 100% value from your nutrients from food, right?
That's one of the questions I was going to ask you. You know, we very few people in modern society can ever eat and get everything that they need. It's just not one of the possibilities. How much fiber or barley or whatever, how much would one want to do every day of that sort of thing?
Well, I take 5 couplets of alfalfa, barley, and wheatgrass every day.
Every day, okay.
I mean, you ask me why, but that's, to me, is what I've been used to.
Well, but everybody finds their own.
Let me just go back one more step and try and explain why. Whenever someone is in a hospital sick or convalescing, right, we always say to that person, please try and become strong. Magpalakas ka in Tagalog, right? Try and get stronger. Well-meaning words, right? And everybody utters this whenever they visit someone in the hospital.
Okay, yeah.
Right? Please get stronger.
Yeah.
But the person does not really know how to do it.
Right.
To begin with, the person is sick, ill, or convalescing.
And not feeling very good.
They don't really feel good, and they are trying to eat all the right foods. Their family gives them all the right abundant food. But the body is not yet balanced. The chemistry of the body is not yet balanced to be able to then use all these nutrients to re-energize the body, if you want to call it that way, right? So nature has provided for this, right? That you take a proper balance of alfalfa, barley, and wheatgrass, and then you can then start to regenerate. Now, on the other end of the scale, right, if you are generating more body cells than you are losing from free radicals, right, and all these antioxidants are there to assist you fight the free radicals, and you're regenerating faster than what you're losing, you end up slowing the aging process. Right. And if you're slowing the aging process, then therefore you are looking much better than how old you might be. Right. So that's part of that equation.
Right. I see. So that's everything that you read, and I noticed that with taking the natural things, I take a lot of turmeric because they say that's really good for because of the colon cancer. It stays in the colon and fights the tumors and does that sort of thing. But that's, you were talking before about things that have been around a long time. Turmeric has been used by the Indians for 2,000 years, and
well, you're right. And then to cite another example of how nature provides, one of the higher incidents here in the Philippines of an affliction, sometimes chronic, is urinary tract infection, right? UTI.
Amongst women, I guess.
And UTI historically has been addressed by antibiotics, right? And of course, it keeps recurring, and they keep prescribing more antibiotics. And of course, what happens is that the bacteria, the E. coli,
it becomes resistant.
Right. Now, nature has provided for cranberry. It's an American, fruit. And cranberry has a property, an acid. I won't bother your viewers with the name, but it's an acid, to put it simply, that prevents the E. coli from clinging to the walls of the urinary tract. And because the bacteria cannot cling, because it obviously, let's put it simply, it's hot, right? It's hot for them to cling. They cannot cling. It gets flushed out as part of your urination, right? So because it gets flushed out, it cannot colonize. When it cannot colonize, therefore there is less bacteria in your system. And therefore all the symptoms of the urinary tract infection is removed.
So that's how cranberries work. I know the cranberries are, well, dark berries of any kind, you know, I guess are supposed to be very, very good for you. And unfortunately, they're hard to get here unless you own a bank. They're pretty expensive, you know.
There is a supplement in the marketplace called Cran UTI.
Cran UTI, oh, I see.
And it's available for mercury.
Yeah,
and we have found that the very people that need treatment for these are those that are ones that are most susceptible.
Do men get UTIs?
Oh, yes,
do they? Oh,
definitely.
I see. Okay.
How it's manifested, you have a back pain sometimes, right? Sometimes also there are many issues that symptomatic of prostate, which is actually not prostate but prostatitis, for example, right? Prostatitis approximates all the symptoms of prostate, which is frequent urination, incomplete urination, drip, right? And sometimes you just been to the toilet and you feel that you have to go back again
20 or 30 times a night,
and people say, oh, looks like I've got prostate, right? But it may not necessarily be prostate, and it can be addressed, and it can be addressed by a cranberry or cran UTI, and you will find that sometimes it's simply a bacteria.
Wow. You know, everything that we've talked about goes back to that point of preventive as opposed to curative.
Exactly.
And that's the point that I always like to make, you know. I had Dr. Stuito was on my show recently, and he has some curative things that he does, but he says, you know, look, at the most important thing is you change your lifestyle and you practice preventive. And when we say preventive, it sounds like maybe, oh, that's a lot of bother or whatever, but it isn't at all. It's just a matter of getting your head around. And like me, I'm trying to put the horse back in the barn after close the door after the horse has already left, you know. And I would rather people didn't have to do it the way that I'm trying to do it, you know. And so if they're thinking about it earlier in life, and they think about what they're eating, and they do, there has to be a certain amount of supplements, because we can't, I don't think we can get everything we need out of what we're eating, you know.
Larry, I've been a part of my lifestyle. I'm fortunate enough to come to the realization at a fairly young age, when I was around 30, 35, that I would be a candidate of some of the male oriented diseases, sicknesses, right? Prostate is one of them, right? And even back then, I started to take zinc tablets.
Oh, the zinc, I heard about that.
Does it work? I don't know, right? But I was taking it. Maybe it has helped, but fortunately, I have no symptoms of a prostate problem, and I can only attribute, I'd like to attribute this to the fact that I was taking zinc tablets from way back then.
You know, that's one of the points that I always made. You know, I started taking vitamins about the same time, 35 or so. I was still active as a tournament tennis player, and I still wanted to be as healthy as I could, and anything that I thought I could get a little bit of energy, you know, you would do. But it was the same thing when people say, do they work? I don't know if they work or not, but I'm now another 35 years down the road, and I'm still going, so maybe they do work, you know.
Well, we can only say that, okay, they work because my state of health, and touch wood, right?
Sure.
My state of health right now is relatively, you know, better than most of, you know, in my same age bracket. I'd like to attribute that to the fact that I have practiced preventive health care on myself, right, all these years, right?
And we all know ourselves, you know, how much we need or what we want. And sometimes things happen that are out of the ordinary, but I mean, in my case, it was a surprise. But I've always been healthy, and I plan to be healthy, you know, just go on, you know, just have a little stumble and you take care of it. But certainly it did change the way that I eat. You know, I don't do the heavy foods or things like that anymore because, and I shouldn't be doing that at my age anyway. You know?
But see, what you're obviously aspiring for, and 99% of the population are all aspiring for a quality of life.
Quality of life. That's it.
That
not a longer life, but a quality of life.
Right. Stand into good stead between, say, for the next, for the rest of their lives. Now,
sure.
I mean, I can be alive to age 80, but perhaps if I did not take care of myself well enough, I would still be alive, say from 70 to 80, but I may be comatose,
but not fun,
that's not something that I look forward to.
Well, that's one of the things. Also, you know, a lot of things for cancer survivors and things. You have to decide what sort of therapy you're going to take at the end of it as well. Do I want to have a quality of life, or am I going to do everything there is to stay alive and be miserable all of that time?
Exactly.
And that's something that every individual has to make that decision. And sometimes it's not the easy one or the popular one or whatever, but you have to do it individually. But you study and you decide what to do on that. You know?
Let me share something with you. Again, it's a thought, right? That in the Philippines we have this notion, and we always ask our loved ones, right? Please take care of me. Or in the vernacular, you say, alagaan mo ko. And we somehow appeal to them that, please take care of me. Now, in the process, when you tell someone, alagaan mo ko, like, please take care of me, it somehow gives them a license to then go out and drink and eat all the wrong foods. And because they have passed on the responsibility to their loved ones.
That's exactly, right? You know, and we're just about out of time, but that's a good one to leave it with.
Yeah.
Is that it all goes back to that old thing, if it's going to be, it's up to me. And yes, we would like to.
It's not fair.
No, it's not fair.
We to your loved ones.
We can't put that off on somebody else.
Exactly. Yeah.
We have to take care of ourselves, and I hope I'm going to die the healthiest guy in town.
Well, we live for a long way.
No, that's it. But you're going to live a good life every day and do a lot of smiling, and so it doesn't really matter how long it is. Albert, thank you so much for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
And once again, Albert is one of the outstanding professionals.
Thank you.
And this is an award that is given by an international body, and it's not just something for there.
Can I give you one of this?
Oh, I love. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Oh, this is Mega Fiber.
It's our new brand in the marketplace.
I will try it.
Yes.
And let you know on that.
And we have one of these leaflets as well.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you so much. Yes. And for all you folks out there, thank you, boy, so much for inviting us into your homes, because it sure wouldn't be any fun without you. And if you have some questions or whatever, get hold of me, Larry at lbruhard.com. If you want to know something more about fiber, I'll do what I can do. So until next week, and I see you again, straight ahead.